The words just sliced through the morning air. I mean, they were loud enough to stop a bulldozer. New girl thinks she's hot stuff, huh? I give her 10 minutes before she runs off crying to mommy. That was Staff Sergeant Mitch Harlan, standing right in the middle of the Georgia Clay training yard, arms crossed over his chest like he owned the whole county. And maybe he thought he did. It was Oro 900 hours, Tuesday, July, the kind of heat where the red dirt stuck to your soul, and Harlan needed an audience for his daily performance. I was 20 feet away, Corporal Alexa Vance just quietly adjusting my sleeves by the rope climb station, not reacting, which only seemed to make him louder. I'd been assigned to Fort Kingston 4 weeks ago, transferred in with the thinnest file you'd ever see. Just admin. Logistics, nothing exciting. And to Harlan, who thrived on loud, sweaty ego, I was just a target. An opportunity to prove his toxic little reign. You hearing me, Vance? You need a head start? This course was designed for actual soldiers, you know. A few nervous chuckles rippled through the group. His shadow, Private First Class Denny Cobb, even pulled out his phone, ready to film the entertainment. That's when I started rolling up my sleeves. The right one first, slow and smooth, then the left. I remember the sun hitting the dark ink on my inner forearm. It wasn't some tiny butterfly, you know? It was a stylized griffin, wings spread, talons gripping coordinates, and underneath it, a sequence of letters and numbers, JT74 2021. It was clean work, deliberate, expensive, the kind of ink that meant something or nothing. If you were Mitch Harlan. He stopped mid-sentence, his smirk widening like a crack in the pavement. Oh, hold on, hold the phone, folks. What have we got here? He pointed at my arm like I'd just revealed a rash. Guys, look! New girl got herself some war ink! Isn't that adorable? A Pinterest special? Did you get that done at a boardwalk booth next to the airbrushed t-shirts? The laughter came louder this time. Cobb was filming, of course, probably already setting up the caption for their private group chat. Fake Tacti-Cool Vance. My jaw tightened. Just slightly, a tiny muscle twitch, but I didn't say a single word. Instead, I turned and faced the rope. But across the yard, near the supply shed, Master Sergeant Elias Knox paused his inventory check. Knox, 52, all gray temples and scars, didn't impress easily. But something about the way my hands instinctively gripped that rope caught his eye. My thumbs locked at certain angles, wrists rotated inward. A grip that screamed muscle memory, survival, not basic training. He looked at the griffin, the code beneath it. He couldn't read the numbers. But the structure, the specific placement, it tugged at a memory. A high-level briefing from years ago, blacked-out files, unit insignias that weren't supposed to exist outside a very tight circle of people. Harlan was still performing, demanding to know where I got the sneeze-on-your-arm art, but I ignored him, taking my position under the rope. In that moment, everything narrowed down. 4 counts in through the nose, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. An invisible rhythm. The combat breathing technique that keeps you grounded, that keeps you alive. He mistook my silence for weakness. What, cat got your tongue? Too busy pretending that fake tattoo means something? I held his gaze for 3 seconds, just long enough for him to feel the silence, then I launched myself up the rope. The passing time was 30 seconds. 25 if you were fast. I hit the top marker in 22 seconds flat. No wasted motion, legs pumping, core tight, hand slapping that metal bell with a clang that echoed right through the silence he'd created. When I descended, I didn't slide or stumble. I walked my hands down the rope, boots hitting the dirt with barely a whisper. Harlan forced a slow, mocking clap. Well, well, beginner's luck, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if she can do it twice. Knox was closer now, standing 10 feet back, arms folded. He'd seen plenty of rope climbs, but my technique, it wasn't Army standard. It was SEER school stuff, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. And SEER graduates didn't end up in admin transfers with files as thin as tissue paper. The next obstacle was the 12-foot wall. As I fell into line, Knox deliberately maneuvered close, pretending to adjust a climbing harness. He spoke low, just loud enough for my ears. The ink, Corporal, the code. Where did you serve? I glanced at him. Just for a flicker, there was recognition in my eyes, or maybe just calculation. Can't say, Master Sergeant. He nodded once, understanding the public nature of the yard. But his mind was already pulling classified folders. Joint Task Force 74, Operation Stonebreaker. The unit that never made the news. The Griffin Insignia, wings over coordinates. If that tattoo was real, I wasn't some admin flunky. I was a ghost. When my name was called for the wall, Harlan made a show of checking his watch. But I noticed something else. The handholds looked off. Harlan had been near the structure earlier. I jumped, found my first handhold, and began climbing smoothly. 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. Then, at the top, my left hand reached for the final hook, and it gave way. Metal scraping wood, the hook pulling loose. For a terrifying fraction of a second, I was hanging by one hand, body swinging out over a 12-foot drop onto packed dirt. But I didn't fall. My right hand locked, core twisted, and my left hand slapped flat against the top edge of the plywood wall, fingertips digging into the rim with a grip that shouldn't have been possible. I pulled, shoulders screaming, and hauled myself over the top in one brutal, efficient motion. I landed in a crouch and stood up, breathing steady. Harlan recovered first, forcing a loud, fake laugh. Somebody rigged that for her. Probably loosened the hook so she could play hero. I walked back around the wall, my breathing still the controlled 4-count rhythm. I didn't defend myself. I didn't accuse him, even though I knew he'd done it. I just kept my mouth shut. Cobb, emboldened by Harlan's deflection, stepped up with his phone right in my face. Smile, Vance. This is going in the group chat. The fake hero who can't even climb a wall without help. He snapped 3 photos. The tattoo, my face, the wobbly hook. Within a minute, the phone was buzzing with laughing emojis and comments. Wannabe alert. Cute ink. Did your boyfriend draw it? I glanced at the griffin on my forearm, then pulled my sleeves back down, covering it. Not out of shame, out of calculation. Harlan was loud. Cobb was sloppy. And loud, sloppy people make mistakes when they think they're winning. Later that afternoon, Harlan escalated. He cornered Lieutenant Jack Carver, the range officer, and filed a formal false safety report claiming I had removed my gloves during the wall climb, a serious violation. Carver by the book had to investigate. I knew Harlan was weaponizing the system, and I let him. That's when I gave Carver the lifeline, the scrap of paper with the contact number and one single word, Stonebreaker. Call that number, sir, I told Carver later in his office. Calm as you please. Tell them the word. They'll verify what they can. And if they don't, then I'm whatever Sergeant Harlan says I am. I watched him pocket the note, knowing what he was risking. Carver dismissed me. That night, my phone buzzed with an anonymous text. Training yard. 2100. Come alone. I was there at 20:55. Harlan stepped out from behind the wall, Cobb flanking him. 2 other guys loitered by the ropes. It was 4 against 1 off the record. Harlan's voice was hard now, desperate. You're causing problems, Vance. You're making people nervous. Request a transfer tomorrow, or we make sure Carver gets enough reports, enough evidence, that you're discharged dishonorably. Cobb pulled out his phone, showing me screenshots of inventory logs, serial numbers, shipping manifests. Their illegal network laid bare on his screen. I took a slow breath. 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold. And then I spoke, my voice low and clear. No, Harlan blinked. What? I'm not transferring. I'm not leaving. And you're going to have to try a lot harder than fake reports and group chat photos. Cobb laughed nervously. You think you're tough? You think that fake tattoo scares us? My eyes shifted to him, and for the first time, my cold smile appeared. It's not fake. Prove it! Harlan stepped back, twitching toward his belt. He was smart enough to know that actual violence would cross a line, not here, not yet. He retreated, signaling the others, leaving me standing alone under the harsh floodlights. I let out a long, slow breath. They hadn't crossed the line, which meant they were still useful, still gathering evidence, still making mistakes. I pulled out my notebook, wrote down their names, the time, and the quotes. Then I took a photo and sent it to a number with no name. The response came back, confirmed. Continue. The next morning, the air was thick, heavy with anticipation. Carver emerged from the building flanked by 2 MPs. Formation now! The moment came fast. Carver called me front and center, then ordered me to roll up my sleeves all the way to my shoulders. Silence blanketed the yard as the griffin, talons, and code was fully revealed in the morning sun. Harlan froze, his face a sickening mix of panic and shock. "Master Sergeant Knox!" Carver's voice was sharp. "You recognize this insignia?" Knox's response was parade ground clear. "Yes, sir. That's a Joint Task Force 74 marking. The Griffon configuration is specific to compartmentalized units. Getting this without authorization is a federal offense. Having it and being able to verify service means she's been places that don't exist on maps." Then I pulled out my dog tags. Standard issue, except for the stamping. Vance, Alexa, JT-74. Carver scanned them, his eyes widening slightly, and then he pulled out a tablet, scrolling through a highly classified database. He turned the screen toward the formation. A photo of a younger me in tactical gear, a list of classified commendations, and a status line. Active. Special assignment. Phase 2. The gasp that swept the formation was audible. Carver closed the tablet. His demeanor instantly changed from superior officer to subordinate. "Corporal Vance," he said formally, respectfully, "on behalf of this unit, I apologize for the treatment you've received. The allegations against you are dismissed. Your conduct has been exemplary." Then, in a move that took the breath out of the whole yard, Lieutenant Carver snapped to attention and delivered a crisp, sharp salute. 35 soldiers followed, their hands flying to their brows in ragged, urgent unison. The mockery was dead, replaced by stunned, fearful respect. Carver then turned on Harlan. "Sergeant Harlan, you filed a false safety report. You harassed a fellow soldier. Based on preliminary findings, you are confined to quarters pending formal investigation." Harlan tried to protest, to yell that I had set them up, but the MPs were already taking his phone and leading him away. Then Carver cornered Cobb, who immediately broke down, asking for a lawyer. Later, sitting in Carver's office, I explained the whole operation. "Because predators reveal themselves when they think the prey is weak, Lieutenant. I wore their contempt like bait. Harlan wasn't just a bully. He was the head of a smuggling ring, bleeding this base dry of high-value equipment. If I had shown my credentials immediately, he would have gone silent, buried the evidence, maybe fled. I needed him loud, arrogant, and sloppy." I leaned forward slightly, looking him right in the eye. "I didn't lose my dignity, sir. I weaponized it. Every time Harlan pushed, I cataloged. Every time Cobb posted a photo, it went into a file. Every insult, every false report, it all built an airtight case. Justice isn't loud, Lieutenant. It's patient. It waits for the guilty to condemn themselves, and then it acts with precision. Strength isn't noise. It's discipline when no one is clapping." Carver just stared at me, then pulled out a new file, my new orders. Phase 2. A larger network, domestic theater. I finished packing that evening. The dog tags, the green notebook, and the small leather case holding a challenge coin, a gift from the team I'd saved on that classified mission, went into my bag. I was leaving Fort Kingston, leaving the unit that mocked me, but the mission would continue. Somewhere, someone was stealing, cheating, putting lives at risk, and I, Alexa Vance, quiet, patient, and absolutely relentless, would be there to stop them. So let me ask you, if you were in my shoes, enduring that harassment every day to catch a criminal who was putting lives at risk, would you have broken your cover right away to save your reputation, or would you have stayed quiet, endured the abuse, and waited patiently for the exact moment to let them hang themselves? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you believe that sometimes the most effective justice is the quietest.